Well, hey guys, good morning. Brent Abel here, webtennis.com. Hope you're having a spectacular day so far, wherever you might be as you watch the live version, or maybe you're catching it on the replay. And yeah, look, this is the 31 day, the January 2021 31 day physical reboot, the body reboot, the reset for whatever reason you might have that you want to make a slight or larger change to the physicality in your life. And look, it could be losing weight. It could be getting better sleep. It could be a whole host of things. I mean, there's a long list of reasons why we might want to do a reboot. Some of it's because we've been dealing with all of the crap going on, not only in this country, but the pandemic and all the stuff. And, maybe if nothing else, it's just a stress buster. It's just making yourself feel better by doing something good for your body. So look, guys, I'm here to help you every morning as giving, a couple of ways. Number one, to give you some suggestions, some ideas, maybe share definitely share my story of what I've done over the last, we started by getting rid of wheat, practically all the wheat in our diet years ago after reading a book called Wheat Belly. I think that was on day one that I recommended that to you. Maybe it was day two. But the other thing, over the last, starting in January, February of 2018, going not totally vegan, but pretty darn close, cutting out red meat, chicken, not all fish, a little bit of fish now and then, but not much. Cutting out dairy. And look, it was a big change, right? But and we're not perfect. My wife better. My wife is much better than I am. She's about 99.9% there. I'm around 93.8%. I think it is. It's the last time I checked. But it's made a huge difference in our lives. And so I encourage you to, if you're thinking about, and look, plant-based eating has really been kind of on the forefront, I think, recently, the last couple of years. And it's gotten a lot of press, a lot of talk, and look, pretty darn compelling. I was having some pretty serious digestive issues, the first of the year in 2018, and I didn't know what was going on. And I just decided, look, the digestive issues were the couple days after eating a steak or eating a burger, and maybe it was just age related. I was getting into the 70s, and so maybe it was that. I don't know. I just thought, well, why don't we maybe cut it out for a month and let's just see. And so we watched some documentaries, Forks Over Knives, and a few other documentaries that you can find on Netflix. I'm assuming it's also Amazon Prime. You can find them too, but they were compelling enough to make us think, yeah, this might be a good thing to try for 30 days. I was never, ever thinking I'll be doing this for the rest of my life at the time. But after 30 days, I felt like a different human being, totally different human being. And that was with no red meat, no chicken, no pork. Cutting out dairy was the toughest. We don't drink milk, but we like the cheese, right? The Swiss cheese, the little chunks of Swiss cheese around happy hour, glass of vino or, a bottle of beer or something like that. And, you give me some of that Swiss cheese, that big old block you get from Costco. Man, I'm just like, well, I was in heaven then, right? But once we cut that out, after 30 days, it made a huge difference. So look, I don't preach diet. I just tell you what's worked for me. You got to make up your own mind on this stuff. And there's probably three reasons that were very compelling for us to try to drop red meat. Number one was there's some evidence that the protein that cattle produce could trigger some DNA or some DNA markers for certain types of cancer, certainly for heart disease and all this kind of stuff. Number two is the way the cattle industry treats their cattle. It's brutal. I'm sorry, it's just brutal. Not that I'm a big tree hugger from Berkeley, born and raised in Berkeley, but look, it's not great. It's not great what the cattle industry does. And look, the cattle industry, if you look at the numbers, produces more carbon, more of that stuff we put out there than all transportation combined, right? And this is not my opinion. You can go ahead and look it up. I encourage you to do so. But those are the three compelling reasons for us to try to get off it. And so for me, it made a huge difference, and I've not gone back. And ever since then, from March of 2018 to March of 2020, when we got shut down, I've had, in those 24 months, the best results I've ever had in terms of gold balls, silver balls, bronze balls in singles, doubles, mixed doubles, age group mixed, and then I in terms of husband-wife doubles as well. So it's worked for me, and I'm not going back. Anyway, so guys, look, what I want to talk about today is something that we talked about recently, I think on a web tennis podcast. And that was the quote, will this make the boat go faster? And if you've been with me at any amount of time, I know that you've heard that from me before. And I want to repeat it because there's another part of it that I want you to consider. And that quote actually comes from the team and the coaches from the England's, I think it was, can't remember the exact term, but in fact, you know what, let me go ahead and bring it up so that I can tell you exactly what I'm talking about, which would be good, I suppose. Yeah. Here we go. So this is where we started January 1st, and I was asking you to drop one thing that you can eliminate for the next 31 days. For me, from Maya and myself, it's been alcohol, right? So we're pretty good on the rest of this stuff. I do have a cup of coffee in the morning, I'll admit to that, but just one. But alcohol, we are going to do the classic dry January. And so, we're into day 7, all good. Look, so here's what I mean by, will this make the boat go faster? And this was inspired by England's journey to the Olympic gold in the men's rowing aid at the Sydney 2000 Olympics. And really what it comes down to are choices and decisions that we make throughout our day as we're trying to build some new habits, as we're trying to reach a goal, right? And so first of all, we've talked about the difference between goals and systems, right? And goals are great. I mean, that's where we start, right? If you want to lose weight, you go, well, I want to drop 20 pounds by a certain date, right? And so that becomes our goal. Well, the goal is fine, but without a system of how to do it, it's really tough to get there. And so once you get, let me go ahead and actually type this in here. I'm going to go with goals, system. Bring this down here, and let's do that. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry about that. Let's bring this down to the next page. So it's all in the same here. Good. So will this make the boat go faster? And really what that refers to is the decisions that you make throughout the day that help you stick to your system so that you can achieve whatever goal it is that you want. And look, I didn't know, I don't think in March of 2018, I'm going to bring this back. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Where am I here? There we go. Good. In March 2018, I didn't really know what my goal was. I just knew that I wanted to cut out certain things that I was eating. And so that in the beginning, I had this process of just not doing it. It wasn't very specific. It really wasn't very organized, but yet throughout the day, I would be presented with these decisions that I had to make, which was, well, typically at this time of the day, I'm going to put in, a breakfast sausage in the morning with my eggs and whatever. And I had to make a decision. And I wish I'd sort of known that phrase, well, will this make the boat go faster? And really what that refers to is if you're thinking about rowing, if you're on the crew, the decision you're about to make, right? You've been training all day and now you're driving home and you're driving by the pub and the fellas are in the pub having a great time, having, a nice, pint or two after their day in the office. Well, you could stop by, but you got to ask yourself, well, will that actually make the boat go faster, I guess, tomorrow? And the obvious answer is probably not. So that's a small decision. And sometimes if you make a decision, well, I'll go ahead and stop by and, have a pint with the fellas. If you, on that one day or that one night, might not make that big a deal, right? The boat might still be going the same speed the next day. But if you keep making those small, lousy decisions throughout the day, and even though they're tiny, eventually over time, they build up and the boat won't go faster. And so for us, in terms of what we're trying to do in January 2021, this is all about building habits, right? And you're going to be faced with or presented with those small decisions throughout the day that you could ask yourself, well, will this make the boat go faster? If your decision or if your goal is that you want to lose weight, man, you're going to be faced with that opportunity, I guess, to screw it up throughout the day several times. And you got to be asking yourself that question. Well, will this get me to my goal? Is this part of my process? Will this make the boat go faster? And so, yeah, I don't know how else to say it, but you've got to start with a goal. And there's got to be a purpose behind that goal, right? There's got to be a reason why that you're doing this thing. And then you build the process, you create the process. Don't get stuck in, well, I've got to have this whole 10-page process. No, just do something super simple. Like when I showed you that list on day one, why don't you eliminate one thing from this list? I had 9 things, and the 10th thing was, a question mark. Maybe there's a 10th thing that you could fill in there. And within a couple of days, I had several people actually write me and go, okay, well, I'm going to eliminate, number 1, number 3, number 7, and number 8. And I'm going, okay, but now you've got to build a process that addresses each one of those things. And that might be overwhelming. If you can do it, great. But for me, I don't think I could do that. And the reason for that is that if it's one thing, just one of those things, you're going to go through a period in the beginning to kind of, hey, Chris, good morning. You're going to go through a period of some cravings. Most people go through cravings, whether it's any one of those items on that list, there's going to be in the beginning some cravings, and you're going to white knuckle it, and you're going to question yourself, why am I doing this? And you're going to drive by the pub and you're going to think the fellas are in there, and you're going to go, 1 pint or 2, big deal. You got to, is this going to actually make the boat go faster? So anyway, I love that quote. And I ask myself that question, not every day, but often enough to where it's part of me, right? And it's really just kind of like, now it's such a good habit when I get faced with that decision that I ask myself the question, and I guess, I'm not 100% perfect on it, but I'm pretty darn close. Right. So there you have it, guys. Anyway, hope you having a great day. And look, if you need any help, if you need a wingman, if you need an accountability partner on any of this stuff, if you want to check in with me on a daily basis, I'm here for you. Totally cool. That's fine. And, some of these decisions that we make, even if it's one of those things off that list, can be a big time challenge. And I think that the evidence is pretty compelling that if we've got someone that we're doing this thing with, that it becomes a lot easier. You've got support, whether it's one person or more, whether it's a group or just one person, it becomes easier knowing that you've got a support thing there. So again, I want to offer up my services for that. For you. You can direct message me over on Facebook, or you can shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. And then before I let you guys go is, look, I got off of drugs, ibuprofen, 9 months ago, 8.5 months ago. And the reason I was taking 2 or 3 ibuprofen every day was because of all the inflammation I was building up throughout the day from all the tennis I play and all the off-court working out I do, to try to stay at the very top of my age group, if not at the top, within the top, few fellas up there. And that's what I have to do. I was never a great junior player. I was never a good towel. I was My college tennis career is another story, which I'll leave for that for another day. It's kind of odd. Anyway, but so I was never a great junior college, never played in the tour, dabbled with a couple of, kind of satellite events, got crushed in the first round, and just never was great until I became a senior player and realized what's the one controllable that I've got that as I'm learning the game, well, the one controllable was fitness. And I just said, why can't I be the fittest guy out there? And the answer kept coming back, well, I suppose you could. Why not? And would that be a good thing for your tennis game? Would that be a great foundation for your tennis game? And not only physically in terms of quickness, not only physically in terms of endurance, but also mentally in terms of confidence. I mean, there were so many days when I'd go out and I'd play for 2.5 hours at the Berkeley Tennis Club, go inside, go to my locker number 80, Jerry Rice, number 80, and I would swap out the tennis shoes for running shoes, and I'd run the 1 mile from the Berkeley Tennis Club over to the stadium, Memorial Stadium over at Cal, Berkeley. And you know what? Back then, you could get in the stadium, no problem. The gates were always wide open, and you just go running in there. And I loved it. I mean, it is one of the classic football-only designed stadiums, that big oval. And it's got 75 rows of benches, right? And so 75 steps, those steps in between the benches, the sections, and I just start going 2 at a time, going up, and then I kind of twinkle toe back down to make sure that I wasn't going to, go crashing down or fall. But I started doing these sections of steps over there, and eventually I'd come around, I'd start over on the east side, and then I'd come around to the west side, where you'd come up to the top of the stadium, row 75, and you could look over the top of the stadium west, over Berkeley, over the San Francisco Bay, and bang, there's the Golden Gate Bridge. And I'm thinking to myself, dang it, I'm the only guy who's doing this today. No one else is here in the stadium. It's just me, right? There might be someone else in the stadium, but I didn't think this guy was in my age group in the tennis thing. So that gave me a lot of confidence. And so if I've got way off topic here, sorry. But look, for me, with all that training, inflammation was really a big deal. I mean, I was just pumping out inflammation all day long in my body. And the only way to overcome it for me that I knew at the time was 2 or 3 ibuprofen in the mornings. So I could go out there and do the thing, my physical thing, the next day. So I could start to build a foundation of fitness that would equal, if not be better, than any other guy in my age group. And so for me, that's paid off. That's really, really paid off in lots of matches where, I'm playing someone who was a great junior or a great college, even someone who played in the tour. Strokes are like a light years better than mine. But after being in the match for maybe 75 minutes, I'm feeling fresh as a daisy. And this guy over there he's huffing and puffing. And all I got to do is just not screw it up now, right? It's not think, well, I'm going to bury this guy. No. Just stay in there long enough to where, and so look, if you're doing a lot of working out, and great, congrats if you are. If you want to learn more about how to reduce inflammation from all the tennis or the sport or in the gym or whatever else you're doing physically. Yesterday we talked about crack a good sweat today. You're probably going to produce some inflammation, and I'm happy to share with you what's helped me. The program that I'm on that's gotten me off of ibuprofen and actually onto some plant-based supplements that have been a total game changer for me. If you want to know more about that, just hit me up. You can direct message me or shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. Happy to let you know. Guys, with that said, it's time. Oh yeah, got to get out there today and help someone else have a spectacular day. Guys, I will see you again tomorrow.